everybody, welcome to Perfect Search's training on SEO tools. Today we're going to be going over all of the different tools that we use at Perfect Search to do all of our SEO client reporting and deliverables. We use a bunch of different things, daily, weekly, and monthly, for things like keyword research, for looking up backlink portfolios, for audits, for crawling sites, looking at technical issues. There's a lot to go over, so let's get started. The first tool that we're going to be talking about is seoClarity. So seoClarity is a reporting dashboard that allows us to look at our client's keyword ranking portfolio and traffic data all in one tool without us having to export or look at things like Google Analytics and Google Search Console. It pretty much just pulls all of it in automatically for us and allows us to just provide pretty customizable automatic dashboards that have great visuals for client reporting. In terms of the different things that we use it for other than reporting, the first thing that we do is we use it for keyword research. So there's a lot of really great features that let us look at potential keyword ideas with search volume, keyword difficulty, related keywords that really help us when we're trying to look at opportunities for optimizing content, for generating blog topic ideas, and to see where there are opportunities for our clients to win over their competitors. seoClarity has a lot of really different specific features for this. You can look at, your current client's keyword ranking portfolio. You can look at a content gap, so where your client's competitors are ranking but you're not. You can look at on-SERP features, so you can see which keywords are triggering something like an answer box. And you can even just put in a keyword and it'll give you content ideas if you're feeling roadblocked. So it's a really great tool that is helpful for doing research on a daily and weekly basis. There's also a lot of really great technical features with seoClarity. One being a automatic web crawler. So there's another tool that we're going to be talking about later called Screaming Frog that lets us crawl clients' websites so that we can uncover technical issues. But seoClarity has a web version of that tool here, and it's nice because you can actually set up recurring crawls so that you don't even have to think about it. It'll just recur crawls on a monthly basis for you so that you can be on top of any technical issues before they come up. And you can even, integrate that into your monthly report so that it shows up as a feature on there. So it's just even less thinking about it. There's also some really great tools within seoClarity to look at backlink portfolios. So pretty similar to the keyword research, you'll just plug in a URL that you want to get data on backlinks, and it'll spit out all of the different links and domains that are pointing to that site with their trust flow, their citation flow. So another really good way to do research on your own client as well as any competitors to see if there are opportunities for you. So then moving on to SEMRush. So SEMRush is honestly a really similar tool to seoClarity in the sense that you can upload a domain and get keyword research data right away. It's just another tool that we use, another database. It is not quite as robust as seoClarity. There's not, a recurring crawl feature, but it is nice when you want to look at additional keyword opportunities since even though it's very similar in function to seoClarity, it has a different database. So if you're trying to get different keyword data that maybe you can't find in seoClarity, SEMRush is a really great additional resource to do so. So similar to some of the keyword metrics, you can look at search volume, competition score, keyword difficulty, CPC, all these just different metrics to see what kinds of keywords would be a good opportunity for our clients. You can also track certain keyword rankings for clients that are in here. Typically we use SEMRush for clients that maybe are on the smaller end, so it doesn't make sense for them to have a full, robust, dashboard like we do in seoClarity. So it is just a nice tool to get sort of quick insights into keywords and backlinks, very similar to seoClarity. The next tool that we're going to be talking about is Google Analytics. So I referenced this back in the seoClarity section, but Google Analytics is essentially what all of our clients use to track any instances of people visiting their websites. So the way that this works is there's a little pixel of code that clients will put on the back end of their website to indicate to Google that they want to track visitors, coming to the site. So Google Analytics lets you see all of that data. You can see how many monthly traffic visits you get. You can see where your users are coming from. You can get super granular. You can look at their geographic location. You can see people's internet browser data. It's all anonymous, obviously. But you can also see things like which pages they're landing on to get to your site. So it's a really valuable resource for any digital marketer, just in the sense of seeing where your audience is coming from, and also for tracking, month to month, year over year changes in traffic, so that you can determine whether your digital marketing efforts are worth it. So beyond tracking traffic, you can also use it to track goals and conversions on your website. So what I mean by this is, let's say you have an e-commerce site and you want to track how many people are purchasing, blue shirts. Within Google Analytics, you can set up goals to see, how many people put the item in their shopping cart. How many times do people click that button? And so having that data, allows you to see where people are coming and leaving throughout the funnel. And it's just a really great way to get a high-level overview of how users are engaging and visiting your site. Some of the metrics that you can look at, beyond just pure traffic visits, things like the bounce rate, so how many people come to your site and then leave after looking at one page, the average time on page, so how long do they spend interacting with, one page, the number of pages per session, so do they go to one home page and then one product page and then leave, etc. So by looking at those different metrics, you can get, a sense of where to improve on your site. The next tool that we're going to be talking about is Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is similar to Google Analytics in the sense that it's giving you information about how people are visiting and interacting with your website, but it does just show you, slightly different stuff. For example, it'll give you clicks, impressions, it'll show you the click-through rate of different pages on your website, whereas Google Analytics will only give you visits. There is a way to integrate the two of them so that the Google Search Console data shows up in Google Analytics, but it's not necessary. You don't need to do that. You can just look at the two platforms separately. Google Search Console also gives you a lot of great insights into the technical site health of your site. So it'll show you, how many pages are being crawled by Google per day, how many pages are actually being indexed, if there are any crawl errors on the back end of your website, And these are things that you can't get with Google Analytics. So it is definitely important to use both of them, in tandem to get a holistic view of the way people are interacting on your site. Additional things that you can do within Google Search Console. This is the place where you would upload your XML sitemap. This is the place where you can check to see any specific page, whether it's being indexed. Now you can also check to see whether any schema markup you have on any of your pages is working properly. And you can also test out things like your robots.txt to make sure that it's working properly. There's also a section where it'll tell you if there's any manual actions filed against you or any security issues. It's a really good place to get a temperature check on the site health. The next tool that we're going to be talking about is Screaming Frog. So Screaming Frog is a tool that mimics a search engine spider like Google or Bing or Yahoo, and it's essentially used for crawling a website like those, search engine spiders do, and then spitting out the data that it finds. So it's really useful for inspecting your website's elements and making sure that everything is kind of up to snuff. So some of the things that you can look at include, title tags, meta descriptions, header tags, image alt tags, if there's any duplicate content. And the reason that you would want to use a crawler to look at these elements is to make sure that, all of your metadata is optimized, that it's including primary and secondary keywords, that it falls within the character count, that there's call to actions listed in all of your meta descriptions. So it's a really easy way to kind of see all of that at a glance. And another thing that you can do is you can also see the crawl status of every single URL. So you can see whether there's any redirect chains or 404 errors or 500 server error pages. And you can also do things like create XML sitemaps out of it. You can look at image alt tags, essentially any sort of technical element that you might want to check on a website. You can use Screaming Frog to do that. The next tool that we're going to talk about is called Moz. So Moz is a really prominent tool in the SEO industry, but the way that we use it at Perfect Search is primarily to look at backlink portfolios and domain authority. So essentially what you do is you just plug in a URL that you want to check on, and it'll give you a score for domain authority. So domain authority is essentially just a score out of 100, and it is an indication of the quality of your backlink portfolio compared to all other domains on the internet. So if you have a 50 out of 100, for example, it means that, that's how you stack up against everybody else on the internet. So something like the New York Times or Google or CNN, they've got really high domain authorities, like in the 90s. Your friend who just launched a blog yesterday, her domain authority is probably something like 3 out of 100. So it's just a really good way to get a kind of temperature check on how well your site stacks up against other sites on the internet. And you can also see the different referring domains that are pointing back to you. Ahrefs is another tool that we use for research, very similar to Moz in the sense that you will plug in a URL and it'll give you metrics about your domain authority, but it's a little bit more robust. It'll give you more data about your backlinks. You can see lost links, you can see broken links. Yeah, a really great supplementary tool to look at backlink data. The last tool that we're going to talk about today is VWO. So it's a little bit different from all the other tools that I talked about, but it's used for A/B testing and finding ways for you to improve the UX on your website. Similar to Google Analytics, there's a little bit of code that the client would need to put on the back end of their website that allows VWO to track, user visits and data. Pretty much we use it to run A/B tests. A/B testing essentially is just testing, different elements of a website. So you have the control, which is A, and then the thing that you're testing, which is B. An example of an A/B test might be testing the color of a button. Maybe the control is red and the test is green. Essentially, VWO lets you go in, manipulate the page so that you have now that green button color, and it'll track the visits to both the red and the green to see which one is more effective at getting people to click on it. There's hundreds of thousands of different things that you can test, but this is the tool that we use to do that. So that concludes our training on all of the different tools that we use for SEO at Perfect Search. Hope this was helpful. Hope you learned a lot about all of the different tools. Thanks for watching.